to The Modern Day Mom presents 100% Mommyfied, brought to you by The Modern Day Mom Body Butter, in collaboration with Daily Guide Network and Culture Management Group. I am Vanessa Gyan, the Modern Day Mom. So I am here today with one of my longtime friends, and she hates when I say this, but every time, even when I introduce her to strangers, I say my former boss. She was my boss at ETV.
No.
Yes, you were.
I was your supervisor, not
same
your
thing.
boss.
Same. It's almost 11 years ago. Yeah. Fati Shaibu Ali, who is the news editor at GMA BC.
Yes.
It's like an upgrade, like you guys, GMA BC. Yes. And she's also a news presenter, morning show for Happy FM.
Morning show host.
Morning show, Happy
for
FM.
The Happy Morning Show.
Happy Morning Show.
On Happy FM.
Yes, you have to tune in. And she's also a mom to her beautiful baby girl, Kiona, a little diva. But Fati's journey has been a journey. And it's one that many don't speak about, especially in our society. And I think it's very important for those who want to speak about it, because it encourages other women to know that they're not alone. Mm-hmm. And this topic is quite sensitive, and it's something that I can relate to, and that's why I felt like you were the best person to speak about, and that is pregnancy loss and fertility issues with women. Mm. So Fati's baby girl, okay, how old is Kiona?
5.
She's 5.
Yes.
I can't believe it. And the journey to have Kiona wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't, but I don't know how to put it, but I'll say it was, actually. Yeah, I'll say it was. I mean, the planning went smoothly.
Okay.
The pregnancy itself went smoothly.
Okay.
But the doctors termed it a high-risk pregnancy because of my age. Not that I had complications or anything.
Okay, so they call it geriatric?
Yes.
Yes, which I don't like that term because it makes us women, even in the 30s, even in your 40s, seem so old.
Yes.
But geriatric is basically 35 and over.
Yes.
When you're pregnant.
Yes, because I had her at 35.
Right, and it is high. They consider it high risk. So you go for more scans, you go for more tests, and you're monitored a bit more.
Yes.
Okay, so geriatric, but you delivered fine.
I had no complications, nothing at all.
Everything was fine.
Yes,
and then I don't want to tell the story.
Yeah. So then I tried again. I think after 4 years, I tried again, and it didn't go as planned. Right. I mean, I think that's why we are here. Yeah. I had one of the most scariest moments of my life, and I always take life as it comes. I mean, I feel like everything happens for a reason. That's how I live my life.
That is you.
That's just how I live my life. But this one scared me. It scared me. I've never had a more scarier moment than that particular moment. So, I mean, I tried again the second time because obviously, as women, once you taste motherhood, trust me, you would want it again and again and again, especially when, you know, it's one that you had planned, right? And you've had the baby and you are enjoying caring for somebody and all that. You would want another one, or even more, you know. So I said, why not get another baby so that, you know, Kiona would not be an only child, and she would have someone to play with and all that. So I tried again, and interestingly, it happened. I did get pregnant, and I was excited and all, and I was preparing for the whole pregnancy journey again. Until I think 4 months in, I went for my normal checkup, and then the doctor says, the baby is not growing at the pace it should. Right. So something is wrong. Now, we'll give you some medication to try and see if there will be any improvement. So then instead of, you know, for the first, your first appointment, you would do weekly. Every week you go for 4 weeks, and then you do every other week for another 4 weeks. Then you do every month. Yeah, it starts to, the gap opens up. So then I was on my every month appointment at that time. So then he said we have to go back to weekly so that I can monitor. So I did, and then the following week after that particular information that was given to me, when I went, he was like, I'm still not seeing anything. So you would do the same test for 2 weeks and then we'll see. So the third week, he was like, nope, still not growing. So what I'm going to do is I'm giving you one last week. You come and we check. If the numbers are not good, unfortunately, you would have to take it out. So I said, okay. So I went home, I prayed about it, and then, as I said, I live according to God's will. I live according to how God has planned my life. And I believe that if it is meant to be, no matter what, it will happen.
Right.
So I prayed about it and I said, God, if this is not part of your plan for me, I'm ready to, take whatever it is that you're throwing at me. So I was waiting for that week.
Right.
And that week would have been a Sunday.
I remember.
Then Saturday, I was home in the morning. I mean, I had done my normal morning stuff. And then I said, oh, let me just go to the washroom. And then I saw blood. And I was like, what's happening? Then I was 5 months or 6 months then. Then I started having contractions. Vanessa, my first pregnancy, I didn't go into labor because I had scheduled CS because again of my age and then some fibroid issues.
Right.
So I didn't know what it was like to be in labor, to have contractions and all that. And it was intense. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I was not thinking about the one that I was about to lose.
Right.
I was thinking about the one that was there.
Right.
And I was like, God, if I'm not here, who is going to take care of this girl? And at that moment, I was like, God, please, you can take this one, but please save me. I don't want to die. And I was on the bed. Vanessa, I'm getting emotional.
Do you want to breathe? Breathe. Okay. Breathe. Okay. So while you're breathing, I'll go into my story. So prior to having baby A, I suffered a miscarriage. It was very early. It was like 2-3 weeks in. So it doesn't really affect you in the sense, but I was nervous because also my age. But then it was like a month after that I got pregnant again, had baby A. Okay, fine. And then, after baby A, he turned about 4 or 5 months, found out I was pregnant again. So the thing with the first miscarriage, the doctor was like, many women miscarry early, but they don't know because they don't test. But my body, I knew I was pregnant. So then baby A, 3-4 months, find out I'm pregnant, fine, everything is fine. I remember going to an event this day, come home, I'm on the bed doing like kokonsa with my mom.
Did you have anxiety though? With
not that first one.
Baby A after the first one?
After this particular one that I'm going to talk about, the anxiety has been wild. So I'm sitting on the bed with my mom, we're gossiping, laughing. I get up and I saw a spot on the bed and I'm like, they do say sometimes you spot, so it can't be anything. So I said, let me go use the bathroom because I also felt like I needed to do number 2, excuse me. As I got up, mind you, just the week before I'd been to the doctor and everything, scans were fine. I stand up and clots, like not, because at that time I'm like 7 weeks, 6, 7. So you already could, this form, clots just on the floor. And my mom was like, and I'm just like, oh, it's done. Like, it's done. Like, So call the doctor and the doctor's confused because of my age also, and because of the previous miscarriage, they put me on progesterone from the beginning. So she was confused. So then I'm like, what is happening? So we rush to the hospital. I go with my partner and I'm like crying. The whole ride I'm like crying and there's like silence but crying because I'm like,
what's happening?
What is happening? Get to the hospital and they do a scan and they're like, oh, baby's fine. Like maybe this is a spontaneous something that could have happened. So I'm like, okay, this is like weird, because it's like I Google, and what I saw on Google was what. So then they put me on more progesterone.
Okay.
2 weeks later, so then now I'm having like anxiety. I can't even go to the bathroom on time because I'm thinking, what if?
What are you going to see?
Yeah, so like literally, like my mom will be like, but you have to use the bathroom. Like, nah, I'll hold it. 2 weeks after my follow-up with my doctor, and she's doing the scan, and she's like, it seems like there were 2 sacs.
Whoa.
And I'm like, and she's
Okay.
like, but the second one has emptied, or is empty. Are you still spotting? And I'm like, yeah, but it's brown. So when it's brown, it means it's old blood. So basically I miscarried a twin.
Wow.
So then she's like, okay, now we're pumping you with more progesterone just because we want to, you know. So then I'm on the, and if you know progesterone, it makes you very lethargic. It makes you tired. So now they have me on the suppository, the injection, and the pill.
Wow.
And then they put me on strict bed rest for 2 months. And when I say bed rest, I could only bath. And even that, I switched bathrooms so that it's just a shower, so I don't have to. But up until I got to 18 weeks even, the anxiety, like I've never felt anxiety like that in my life.
That. Yes, I do. I understand.
Like, and I feel this one is the one that mentally, because it's like it was formed, like, you know, mentally I was like, just, and then it's like, okay, now I have to protect the other one, like, you just, and then you also have to leave it for faith, because it's like, how much more can you know, and that was recent, you know, and it's just every day, like,
what's going to happen?
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
So back to my story. Yes. I was on the bed and having the contractions, and they were pretty severe. And my little girl,
I had no contractions. So even Googling, I was in disbelief, because it just felt like it just came out.
Wow.
Yeah, so sorry.
So then I was on the bed. I was just turning, and, you know, then my little girl came into the room and was like, Mommy, what's wrong with you? And I said, my tummy. Then she went and took a towel and she was putting it on my tummy. Then I started bleeding, like clots, serious bleeding. So I said, nah, I can't drive. And there was nobody who could drive at that time. So I called my doctor. I called him and I was like, I need, Dr. Senyo, I need an ambulance. And he was like, what's wrong with you? And I said, this is what is happening. I think I'm having contractions and I'm bleeding and I'm clotting. So please. And I mean, when I got up to want to go to the bathroom, the whole place, it was, so I told my nanny, take the girl out. And the girl too said, no, I want to stay with Mommy. And I said, no, take her out and close the door for me. And I was just there. And then what happened with the contraction was that it will happen for like 2 minutes, very intense. Then it will stop for like 5 seconds.
So it was like spontaneous labor.
Yeah, then it will stop. I didn't know what was happening at that time.
Yeah, you didn't know at the time.
Then it will stop for about 5 seconds. And that 5 seconds, Vanessa, it was such a relief. But it didn't last long. So within that 5 seconds, I dashed to the bathroom and I looked for a diaper. And I wore the diaper because I was really bleeding. And I kept calling the doctor. Meanwhile, the doctor was working. He was consulting at the time.
Oh, wow.
I kept calling and I said, when is... Thankfully, I've always said that I want to be closer to a school, I want to be closer to a supermarket, and I want to be closer to my hospital. That was a decision I took when I got pregnant with my first.
Okay.
So I lived quite close to the hospital, and then the ambulance came. When I went to wear the diaper, I picked something, a very loose dress, and I wore it. So then I was just on the bed, and I heard the ambulance. Within that 5 seconds that I had the time, the contraction stopped, I rushed down the stairs.
Wow.
No slippers, nothing. I had nothing. And I rushed down, I got downstairs, and then they put me in the, wheelchair and straight into the ambulance. They asked me what was happening. I explained to them, and then they started administering injections.
Wow.
And then we got to the hospital. And it kept happening for about an hour. So, but I was on injections. They kept checking up on me and all that. And then after an hour, I was taken to the, theater, and they did the evacuation.
Yeah.
And I tell you, Vanessa, the evacuation itself was so painful. I was screaming the hospital down. Even though, they sort of numbed me somewhat.
They gave general anesthesia,
yes,
but
I could still feel the pool and all that. And I think as soon as they put the equipment down, it was like nothing had happened.
wow.
It was like nothing had happened. My stomach felt so empty. And mind you, my blood pressure at that time was like 200 on the ambulance. Yes.
Fati, that's
So I was like, I was dead.
beyond.
Vanessa. And I thank God that in the morning when it all started, what came to mind was to pray. Because, and as I said, by divine grace, God has done it that for women who go through that. And I remember when I came back home 2 days later, and it felt like nothing had happened.
Yeah.
Emotionally, as I said earlier, I believe that everything happens as God has planned it. So I wasn't really mourning the loss.
Okay.
I was grateful that I was alive.
Right.
I was grateful that I could get a chance to try again, because for me personally, in my opinion, motherhood is sweet. I'm enjoying it.
I know you love it.
I'm enjoying it.
She
I
loves
love
putting
it.
Kiona in little high heels.
So
And that girly, like a little version of you.
Exactly.
If you know Fati, she wears her 10-inch heels all the time.
So I love it. And I said, I'm grateful that I could have
Yeah.
a chance to try again and that. Then I
So
called
you
my
want to
sister.
try again?
I did. I told you, I did. I called my sister and I was like, hey, so this is what contraction is. And you have done it 4 times. You must be a witch because
It's
what?
not, you can't even describe it.
Exactly.
But the crazy thing is you
Exactly.
feel, like you said, you feel it, but then when it's done, you can't remember like right now, I
That's
can't
it.
remember how my contractions felt when I
That's
was
it.
like in labor.
That's the
The wildest part.
Exactly. You can't tell. So
Yeah.
3 months later, Vanessa, look at me. I tried again. It worked. I got pregnant. My first 2 appointments, they were like, oh, the sac is there.
Was this after the event? Oh, yes.
After the event,
Yes.
Yes. So it was like, the sac is there, but we can't see anything. Maybe it's too early.
Yes.
Maybe you miscalculated.
Remember.
So let's give it 2 more weeks. After 2 weeks, we can't find it. Let's give it another 2 weeks. Still, we can't find it. Doctor said, at this point, I don't want what happened the first time to happen again. So we would have to, do you want medication or you want to go to the theater? And I said, give me medication because I didn't want that sucking. So I was giving the medication and then it happened.
It happened.
And I'm like, God, maybe you have a plan.
Maybe.
Maybe you want to give me one.
Yeah.
Let me concentrate on that
Yeah.
and do my best as a mom. And that's it. So now I'm free and enjoying.
Okay.
But I wish I had more.
Would
And
you?
most importantly, I wish I had started before 35.
You do.
I
And
always ask myself that you could have had 2, 3, or even 4 by now.
Right.
But
But statistics are showing that women now are waiting.
true.
Women now are waiting till
Yeah.
their mid-30s, late 30s, because they feel
It is
like
true.
they want to enjoy a certain aspect of their... Because when you have a child, your whole life changes. Those
True,
who
it
their
does.
life doesn't change, they're still turned up.
It does.
I don't know about you.
Especially for those who do not have the kind of help that
Yes.
some of us, have been able to have.
Yes.
Some people do not have
Yes.
any help. Somebody's child is on their hip every
Yeah.
single time because they do not have
the help.
It's either they cannot afford one, or they cannot have someone they can trust to leave their children with. So that is there. Then there is the whole, I want to establish myself before.
But that was me,
and all
Fati.
that. But Vanessa, my experience tells me that you can actually do it at the early time. Because now, Kiona is 5, but she's able to stay somewhere in the house, doing her cooking stuff with her toys.
Right.
And I'll be editing.
Right.
And as soon as I just need to tell her I'm working, give me an hour or give me 2 hours.
If
you need water, there is water in your bottle.
Right.
Your snacks are here, and that's it.
Right.
And she's so understanding and so mature and independent.
But I'm not surprised.
You know,
you're her mother.
So, so I'm like, when you have the baby, it is when they are babies, when they are 1, they are 2. That you would say, okay, I really need to put everything on hold and focus.
But after that,
when they start becoming independent, you just need to manage them. And I always tell people that I talk to Kiona like she's an adult. I expect her to understand certain things when I explain things to her.
Right.
And it has worked for me. I just need to explain to her.
So I know you said you would want more like. Have you thought of adoption? Is that something in the?
It is something that I have thought about before. I think about it, but I honestly have not sat down to say learn the process.
Okay.
And even where to go.
Right.
And all that. All I do these days is that when a friend of mine is pregnant, I ask them if it's twins, so that if they can give me one.
Yes, you didn't even.
Because
no, actually, you just wanted my one.
I would love. I would love.
It's so funny when I messaged Fati, this recent one, and she's like, first of all, she's like, "What, girl? Like, stop lying to me." Sends all the emojis that I can laugh at, and I was literally on my bed laughing because I could literally see Fati like in her room or space just messaging. Then she's like, so you already have, like, you just had a baby A, like, so give me this one. Yeah. I'm like, honey.
So, I mean, what about surrogacy? It is not common. That's another thing I've really, really thought about. Then that one, you know, the person knows that as soon as the baby lands, it's not mine, you know, it's for this person. Yeah. It is something I could consider because, Vanessa, I would really love too. But I am not desperate. Right. Exactly. So that's just.
But at least like there's options, you know, now. Yeah. You know, it's just about really doing the research and finding.
And even with carrying one myself, I have just decided not to pursue it again. Otherwise, my doctor keeps telling me that you can.
And you wouldn't.
And at that time, the last 2, he really couldn't pinpoint exactly what could have been the problem. Right. But now I have a diagnosis that I am believing. I haven't really spoken to my doctor after the diagnosis that could this have been the reason why. I mean, high blood cholesterol. So high blood cholesterol, what it does is it clogs your, you know, the flow of blood. It's kind of obstructs. So I'm thinking maybe there wasn't enough oxygen or blood flow to the baby for, you know. That's what I'm thinking. I haven't really sat with my doctor to say, oh, so I found out that I have this and, you know, I am treating it, but could this have been? So if I'm well on that side, would it be now a bit easier to be able to carry? I haven't had that conversation yet because I don't even want to pursue pregnancy again at this point. So that's just, you know,
it's a journey.
It is.
But one thing I admire about you is your courage to always talk about it. You're one of the few people. Exactly,
because Vanessa, I don't see why, everybody is different though, but I don't see why I need to be shy about something I didn't cause. I don't see why I need to be shy about something as beautiful as pregnancy. Right. I don't see why I need to be shy about something that could help someone understand their own situation and perhaps seek help or feel like, okay, so this didn't just happen to me. Right. It is something that can happen. Right. It is something that happens. It has happened to this person. Yeah. And you know, there is something called unexplained infertility. They just cannot tell you what it is. They can't tell you. Even for people who have had children, somebody can have 2 children, they would want another one, and it is so difficult, they don't even understand what is happening. And you will say that, oh, but this is a fertile person, they've had 1, they've had 2, so then what is it? And then there are some people, if they give birth today and they do not take care of themselves or they don't restrain themselves, the next week they are pregnant. And I'm not pointing fingers, but you know, it happens, right? So I don't see why women would have to be shy. But then again, I also think that losing the 2 pregnancies didn't hit me as hard emotionally as it would somebody, probably because I already had 1. Right. If at my age, going into 41, I have none, or I had none. And then I was expecting this at 6 months and I lose it. Maybe it would affect me emotionally in a way. Physically it did. Religiously, I questioned, you know, like, then why did you even allow the pregnant? Because people are trying, they are not getting pregnant. But you give this to me 6 whole months and then you take it away. But emotionally, I was like, okay, go and concentrate on the one that you have.
You know, when the first one that I had, because of my age, I was nervous. So I actually did a whole egg count. I let them come to the house. They drew my blood because I just wanted to see my numbers to at least say, okay, the eggs are still there. So this maybe is just a one-off. But I also think, this one that happened at 6 weeks, 7 weeks, not knowing this time around my cervix has been short. And I've never had that. So we are thinking that because it was short, one couldn't sit. So we even did, I always forget the name of it.
Because I did one with Kiona.
We did that, which I was like very nervous about. When I heard,
painful?
Oh my gosh. First of all, Buck Specialty, I will always recommend them. They numbed me. I felt nothing. The only thing was that, you know, everyone and their general anesthesia, how they wear off. My legs were numb for like 8 hours. I literally almost fell flat on my face thinking I could get up. That was the only thing. But it didn't hurt. Went home, like, you know, you go home right after. The only thing I'm nervous now about is when they take it out.
That one is nothing.
No, it's nothing when you're doing it during C-section.
No, me, when I did mine, the process of doing the cerclage, that time, before this miscarriage, was the most painful thing I had gone through.
You didn't feel, you felt it?
My goodness.
They didn't numb you?
They did that. You see, there is some anesthesia. I think that's what they call the local
the general
anesthesia.
One.
That one, it felt like you are falling from a tall building. You are about falling, then you rise up again. That was the kind of anesthesia. I don't know if anybody has experienced that. It was like you were hallucinating, kind of.
Really?
Yes. So you don't know. So I felt like when they were extracting, that was how I felt like. Yes.
I felt like a tug.
So,
like them tugging and pulling.
Yes. The tugging and pulling. Yes. I felt it was pretty painful for me. But anybody I tell, you know, that when the cerclage was painful, they were like, no,
because you don't feel the pain.
It wasn't. I'm like, however, when I did the CS, I mean, they say after CS, it's painful. I didn't feel a thing after. The very first, a few hours after the CS, I was walking in the hospital. And even the nurses were like, why, you want to go home today or what? You still stay for 3 days.
Wait. So when they were removing,
I didn't feel anything
because they did it during the C-section.
Yes.
So that's me.
I didn't feel
they're
anything.
They're gonna remove it. They say like 36 weeks, 37.
Okay.
So I don't know about a brochure.
Well, my friend tells me removing it is not painful. That's what she said.
She did it in Ghana?
She said she even did it in the doctor's office. They didn't have to go to, you know,
What I was told was they don't give local anesthesia or anything to take it out. And that is very painful. Allegedly. I don't know about a brochure. I feel like they're gonna give me something. Because that's the only thing I've never been nervous about delivery. I'm always nervous about, oh God, what do you do with the baby when you bring them home? But delivery, but this removal.
Well, my friend tells me it is not painful.
It's not.
I remember when we were doing the CS, you know, they numb you waist
Yes.
down, so you could talk and all that. And I kept reminding the doctor, you did the cerclage, so don't forget to
take it out.
He said, I got it. Then a few more minutes, I'll say the cerclage. I don't know why I was so particular about it. I don't know.
And I didn't know you had. So even when I was going in for it,
Mm-hmm.
I called my uncle in New York. He's a surgeon.
Okay.
Just to get like a second opinion, because I was also scared of doing anything here. To be honest, like when it comes to, but then it had to be done. The doctor was like, she was like, we can wait it out, but as you wait, it's like you're risking.
Yeah.
Or we can just. So like 2 days later, I was like, just like do it. But I didn't know it was more common.
Oh yeah.
Then
especially for if you wait as long as I did. And you know, like the high risk. At that time, they had not measured my cervix to say, oh, it's a short or anything.
Right.
He just did it as, you know, a proactive measure.
Okay.
And then during the CS, he was like, Fati, I thank God that we did the cerclage because your cervix is very, very short.
Wow.
Yeah.
But could that be why?
Because I don't know.
Because you've taken the cervix.
Yeah.
So that could be.
Well, as I told you that I didn't
know.
even bother to ask the doctor what could have been wrong, because I know that somebody can drink poison, and because God says this is not it, somebody will find them in the nick of time and they are saved.
Yes.
And somebody will just fall in a gutter and that's the end.
That's true.
So I just didn't want to ask, you know, any questions that work, and that was just it.
Fati, I love this convo. I could actually talk forever and ever and ever. But what is your advice to women who have suffered pregnancy loss? Because I remember when the whole thing happened, I was on bed rest. First of all, prayer really pulled me through, and my circle, right?
Yeah.
Like even just talking to people every day, like keeping my mind off of it.
Yeah.
But prayer was like number one. My faith is like on a different level. But then I also feel like, I always say I'm forever changed. Like it's really changed. I don't know how or what, but I'm forever changed because of that experience. So yes, what advice would you give to anyone who has suffered pregnancy loss?
Well,
or loss of pregnancy?
I would say that first of all, you need to find yourself and know what works for you. We would all react differently to certain things. So what best works for you? If you want to mourn and cry and all that, you can do that. Because some people will bottle it in. They don't talk to anybody. They don't even talk about it at all. I am open. I talk about it so long as somebody asks.
Right.
So if you want to talk about it, you should, by all means. It doesn't have to be a professional therapist. It doesn't have to be a doctor or a nurse. You can just tell your experience to your friends. I'm sure it takes off, you know, some burden off you. And also, if you need professional help, please seek it. Don't be shy about it. Don't feel ashamed, because it is something that happens naturally. Our mothers, forefathers and foremothers suffered miscarriages that they probably didn't even know, you know. So you need to talk about it. You need to find your healing point. What helps you heal? Even if it is shopping, reading, going back to school, whatever, that helps you heal from certain traumas, because it can be very traumatic, especially where you could be coming from and all that. You can have 10 children, miscarry one, and you still feel the pain. So do not bottle up. Some people don't talk about it, and then they explode at a point. And especially if you have other children, don't forget that those children need you. If you do not have other children, don't forget there is a chance for you to have children. So if you concentrate on the one that didn't happen, and you do not make any other effort, you do not pray about any other, you know, child possibly coming your way, then what are you there for? Right? You could also just say that I tried, I don't want to go through this again, so no, I'm not doing it again. It's also totally fine.
Yes.
But make sure that you have truly healed.
Yes.
And that's just the advice that I would give to.
Thank you. Thank you for always accepting. I invite Fati for everything, from post-pregnancy to everything. And Fati is always the first. She's
Except
there.
once.
When was that one?
That one.
That one you were even shocked. You were like, what? Today?
Oh
but she's always been so supportive and very genuine. To know Fati is to love her. So I'm very grateful. And then we have a mini version of you two coming, Kiona, who's just like her mommy. Just like her mommy. Pepe. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Vanessa, for always inviting me.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.